On a dark and stormy night, Patrick, who lives alone, stares at a small vial of GHB. He takes a sip of alcohol and listens to the eerie sounds coming from the roof. Suddenly, there's a loud knock on the door, and he shouts, "Go away." When the knocking persists, Patrick angrily opens the door. He finds a stunning young woman standing there, seeking shelter from the storm. He reluctantly lets her in and offers her a towel to dry off. She requests a ride into town, but he explains that his car isn't working and it's too late for buses. He apologizes for his earlier rudeness, mentioning that he often gets bothered by troublemakers at this hour. Drawing closer, he inquires if she has been swimming. She explains that she was at the beach sleeping when the storm suddenly hit, forcing her to flee. He suggests she rest and offers her tea, but she declines. As he sits across from her, he offers a drink, but she declines, wary it might be poisoned. She asks to make a phone call, and he hands her some coins, explaining that he doesn't own a mobile phone. She expresses gratitude for the towel and coins and starts to leave, but he halts her, explaining the gate is locked and he has the key, so he must accompany her. She insists she'll find another way and waits for her clothes to dry. As she moves about, she questions him about living alone. He confirms, mentioning he used to work as an electrician but got fired after purposely sticking the screwdriver in the wrong place, which frightens her. During their conversation, she stumbles upon a necklace containing strands of hair. He inquires about her accommodation, and she mentions staying at a hotel. He observes that she's unfamiliar with the area but has a familiar appearance. He suggests she take a shower to warm up, noticing her turning blue from the cold. Initially hesitant because of him, she eventually agrees for her own comfort. She enters the shower, standing by the door, shivering, occasionally checking if Patrick is watching, but he walks past without a glance. She undresses and steps into the warm water to cleanse herself. Meanwhile, outside the bathroom, Patrick is frozen in shock, staring at something. As she showers, she briefly imagines blood pouring from her head, sending a chill down her spine. Suddenly, there's a knock on the shower door, and Patrick opens it, revealing he's placed a towel on the handle for her. As she exits the shower, she finds Patrick preparing a bowl of soup for her and spots a sweater that once belonged to his ex-girlfriend, now engaged to someone else. He offers it to her for warmth until her clothes dry. While tending to the soup, Patrick inquires about her romantic status. She admits she's single and struggling to take care of herself. Patrick labels her a free spirit, which she finds amusing. They discuss solo travel, with Patrick suggesting it can be lonely, while she disagrees, finding it stupid. The woman reflects on the futility of escaping problems by relocating, noting that new surroundings don't erase old issues. She suggests running away merely changes the scenery but not the struggles. When he offers her soup, he's startled to notice an earring on her ear, while she eyes the soup carefully, as if suspecting it's poisoned. She questions why he's awake at this hour. Patrick explains his sleep troubles, once peaceful but now plagued by anxiety and confusion. He feels trapped between wakefulness and sleep, yearning for a fresh start devoid of feeling. As he questions her about the soup, she claims it's too hot to drink. Shockingly, she asks about getting into the park, which is locked, and suddenly, there's a knock on the door. Patrick, frightened, angrily asks if she informed anyone before arriving. Terrified, she denies it. When he opens the door, he finds no one and swiftly locks it again, grumbling about troublesome kids. The woman covertly pours the soup into his boot. Her heart pounding with fear, she queries him about the nearby phone and suddenly the storm intensifies, amplifying the strange noises and causing the power outage. Patrick illuminates the room with a torch, explaining that something likely hit the power line and he's too afraid to put on his shoes to go out to check. She apologizes for dirtying his boots, and he pardons her, attributing it was just a soup. He tells her that she's free to leave if she wishes. She offers to assist him in resetting the breaker. While doing so, she notices a hammer with blood on it and observes a bloody wound on Patrick's back, alerting him to it. She heads to the bathroom for bandages. Upon opening a prescription pill bottle, she discovers various earrings, including the one missing from her ear. Startled as he passes by the bathroom, she hastily closes the bottle. Feeling increasingly uneasy, the woman insists on leaving the place where the man has been hosting her. Initially offering her food, shelter, and warmth, the man's hospitality takes a sinister turn as she suspects he has locked her in. Tensions escalate when she accuses him of taking her earring, which he denies, claiming she's mistaken. Their conversation grows heated with accusations and suspicions, leading her to demand the key to depart. The man reveals the door was never locked, exposing the underlying psychological tension and mistrust between them, and she can leave if she wishes. After turning the knob, she hesitates and decides to stay. They agree to pass the time by playing cards. During the game, Patrick shares the story of how he supposedly met his deceased wife at a petrol station. Despite enjoying the woman's company, he senses she hasn't been truthful about her arrival. He offers to help her leave whenever she wants, appreciating their conversation despite the falsehoods. A subsequent toast prompts the woman to finally sip from the cup Patrick poured for her earlier. She becomes alarmed upon spotting a lipstick stain on the rim. Suddenly, a powerful gust of wind shatters something outside, prompting Patrick to investigate. While he's outside, a buzzing cell phone catches the visitor's attention, leading her to a small area where she finds the phone with numerous missed calls from Nicole. In this confined space, she stumbles upon the lifeless body of a woman bearing a striking resemblance to herself, causing her to scream in terror. Frantically, she attempts to flee through a sunroof window. Striking it with a hammer, droplets of blood splattered onto her cheeks. As she does so, dizziness overtakes her from the earlier drink. Patrick returns and notices his cell phone on the floor. The visitor stealthily tries to slip past him to escape, but the door is locked. Patrick enters, seizing her from behind and causing both of them to crash to the ground, injuring himself in the process. As she attempts to conceal herself under a table, Patrick grabs her legs and binds her with tape, forcing her to consume a lethal dose of GHB. Afterward, he moves the dead body to make room for the visitor on the bed, placing her there. She struggles to free herself, eventually locating something sharp to cut the tape. As she reaches for the window, her trembling hands betray her, and in that moment, Patrick confesses that his story about the petrol station was actually how he met the victim she discovered. Exposed as a serial killer, Patrick recounts how his first victim was a woman he bludgeoned to death with a hammer after she knocked on his car door during a rainstorm, as depicted in flashbacks. As the poison takes effect, he explains that even if she had attempted to flee, she wouldn't have reached the hospital in time. She collapses to the floor, and he drags her limp body to his bedroom, gently laying her on the bed. Covering her face with a blanket, he watches as she slowly slips away. The room falls into an eerie silence, and Patrick recalls a woman who once knocked on his car door, bearing a striking resemblance to the visitor. Realization dawns as he notices a distinct heartbeat tattoo on her ribcage. Uncovering her face, he discovers her head has been brutally beaten with a hammer. Suddenly, the visitor awakens, and Patrick is plunged into a hallucinatory nightmare, haunted by the specters of every woman he has slain over the years. Seeking refuge in his bedroom, he is captured by a malevolent force and emerges with blood staining his body. Despite scanning the room, he finds it empty. However, as he gazes towards the exit door, he is confronted by women with concealed faces standing before him. Pushing through them, he locks eyes with the woman he encountered at the petrol station. Suddenly, the police knocked on the door, prompting him to hide in the kitchen. A sweeping beam of light illuminates the room, exposing the corpses of the women he has murdered. Among them, he spots the visitor, who drags him to the dining table and forces him to consume the GHB-laced alcohol. In an instant, Patrick snaps back to reality, where his latest victim remains lifeless. Answering a knock on his door, he finds only mischievous children playing a prank. However, Patrick notices he's holding an empty GHB vial. Realizing he unknowingly ingested it while experiencing his hallucinations. Patrick laughs, and as he shuts the door, the sound of his body hitting the floor echoes, signaling his death, and thus the story concludes. If you enjoy this wild tale of nighttime antics, give it a thumbs up, hit that share button to spread the horror, drop a comment with your favorite part, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more adventures straight out of the imagination.